First of all, very, very good afternoon to all of you guys. A very warm welcome from our Mint Discrete Manufacturing Summit perspective. And taking time out for busy schedule, being part of the the forum today, I think it gives me an honor to even speakers as well as to the audience who are here with me today. I think if you look at manufacturing, guys, let me take a step back. You know, most of the people in 2018 and 2019 perspective wanted to make sure that India is the global hub of manufacturing. And then we were kind of hit by pandemic. Pandemic taught us a lot of lessons. I think fair to say when we were doing our hurdle in 28 years of experience versus 2 years of experience differentiated a lot of things for us. What I realized, discrete manufacturing and as overall manufacturing, we probably need to reset the playbook for that. And what we need to reset for the playbook of discrete manufacturing today, the topic for discussion today, is, is revolving around seven pillars. The first one is scaled operations. I think today, most of the auto component manufacturers, discrete manufacturers are looking at scaling the operations, building exponential productivity, exponential efficiency. And at the same time, maybe we become the company which is factory of the world. How do I supply not only in India, but at a global level? The second pillar is acquiring new capabilities. And I think if you look at, for example, electric vehicles, somebody needs to really start manufacturing batteries in it. And in those kind of components which were not unheard of, I think discrete will jump the wagon and put up there in the spectrum. The third is very important for us, which is design-led manufacturing. So we are really talking about contract manufacturing, digital services, pharmaceuticals. I think playing a very, very important role there. And vaccine is a great example. Somebody else actually innovate vaccine, somebody else actually test the vaccine, and once the testing is done, then actually manufacturing is done across the globe for each of the vaccine. That is a very great example if you look at. The fourth pillar is elastic manufacturing because we have seen the kind of demand going up and down. We have seen the devices and personalization which is happening. We have seen the cycle time of products are reducing. I think the elastic manufacturing has become a very important subject of discussion overall from a discrete perspective. The fifth pillar is the global competitive scaling. I think at the same time, when we are exponential productivity and efficiency, we are looking at quality, which is basically better than the global quality. I think one of the things which we really want to make sure is our product line, our supply chain is very resilient around that. Sixth, and fair to say, we are talking about either technology replacing the skill sets or enhancing and augmenting the human resources and the labors which we have it today. So I think talent and the skill technology needs to provide that kind of a dividend to them. And the seventh one is creating that unlocking the capital investment systems across the board. Time has come where we have been seeing across the board an intersection of manufacturing and technology. Now that intersection, what does it mean? One, we are actually now emerging as era of sensors. We are looking at probably 1,000 IoT startups in the country today, just IoT startups, which are industrial IoT perspective. 35% of connected devices to be accounted by discrete manufacturing by 2023, which is huge jump. If you look at it, if you increase it by 15 more percent, it's a mainstream. It's more than 50%. Second, technology's intersection is driving digital twins. We are looking at real-time data, real-time visualization, and decision-making happening. Prescriptive digital twins for enterprises. Third, service virtualization. 65% of the field servicing to go virtually and predictive by 2025, which means at any point of time when we are servicing our customer in a B2B or a B2C environment, you're looking at field sales using technology to drive the service out, and this is predictive in nature. An AI-enabled component, which is failure prediction. Fourth one is a shop floor to the top floor, which is very important for us. And I think we will also discuss about how shop floor to top floor becomes the bottom floor as well, and add a lot of EBITDA margin to the manufacturers as well. I think look at 90% of data virtualization has to be real time. 90% has to be cloud operations and AI based. 85% is sensor operations and insight, and 75% bots, industrial and collaborative. If you look at these some of the data points, you probably find there are three prolonged future aspects. One, support real-time decision making, invest in cloud operations, and enable automated prescriptive ecosystem. I mean, today we are landing in a situation where we are making sure that we are not only a manufacturer, but we are technology and manufacturing orchestrator. I think the word which trying to use here is we don't want to call ourselves as just a manufacturer. We want to call ourselves as how do we orchestrate technology and manufacturing together. And that's a very nice, word to look at. I think delving deeper into it, let me set the context for all of you guys. First, I think let's have I don't know why we call it first fireside chat. I really wanted to call it iceberg chat. Especially in India, it should be iceberg. But nevertheless, there are two eminent leaders with us today. One, we have it, Mr. GBN Babu, Head Information Technology L&T Heavy Engineering with us. Mr. Babu, thanks for joining. And Mr. Murli, who's actually Senior Director and GM for Indian Subcontinent from Infor.
Thank you,
Thank
Sari.
you, Murli. Thank you for joining. And welcome to the Mint Discrete Manufacturing Summit.
Thank you so much.
You
Thank
know,
you.
you know,
Thank you so much.
I know, I'm going to ask you this question, very, very interestingly. Are we still discrete? I mean, let's say this, right? We are not discrete at all. I mean, to be very frank,
Long gone.
uh, long gone, long gone. But I think nomenclature has been that historically we have been calling discrete. Uh, can I call you Mr. Babu, right? Is that okay?
Yeah, you can call it. No
Okay.
worries. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Babu, I would like to begin with you. My first question is, I mean, like I said, huge experience, then there is a disruption, which is now scaling towards the endemic. What are the different trends you're seeing in discrete manufacturing? How is the discrete manufacturing now emerging? If you look at next couple of years.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the main and as well as other panel members. I'm GBN Babu. I represent Larsen Tobro Heavy Engineering. We are into the business of engineer to order, L&T Heavy Engineering. So we make equipment in process plant equipment, nuclear. This is our business line. We also having one more business unit called modification, revamp, and upgrade, which is catering to the service part at the sites. So this is our product portfolio. We embraced digital journey 3 years ago. In fact, L&T is popular for doing a lot of manual activities, and we have large manufacturing complex at Hajira and also at Mumbai as well as at Vadodara. 3 units we are operating from. We embarked on the digital journey, seeing what all things we can do in the manufacturing area, the pin manufacturing and service. These are the three focus areas we targeted last 3 years, and we got immense success in the manufacturing area. In fact, most of our welding stations, which is 60-70% of manufacturing process, are fitted with the sensors, and the operators can operate multiple machines in single go. And you can see all the parameters available on the display, and is able to control. And finally, we are able to achieve the double the speed theme effortless in 2 years period. That is one of the achievements we could do. Now I can say that with the same capacity what is available, we are able to do the double the load we are able to handle. Today, we let us say the order inflow, whatever is there, it is increased by 40 to 50% because same manpower is able to manage more jobs and with a lot of quality and safety controls. So that is one part. The same part we have done at the sites. We have modification, revamp, and upgrades. We implemented so many technology with respect to the safety controls, mixed reality, as well as the kind of a remote inspection part. So this helped us the people to manage the jobs in a very effective way, and most of the jobs are completed in a record time of 30-35 days. Small window we provided by the customer. So nevertheless, we able to complete on time. At the same time, we're able to achieve all the controls with respect to the safety, quality, and also the first time right culture is imbibed in each and every L&T team member. So that's what I can say. The technology is helping us to move forward and also achieve more in last couple of years.
So fair to say, Mr. Babu, that 3 years
Mm.
back when you invested into
Mm.
technology,
Mm.
and even during the pandemic, that paid off. I think that made L&T Heavy Engineering make sure that they are able to sail through the disruption. At the same time, that also, many of the manufacturers, as I know, their 35% of production capability was stopped,
Mm.
right? because of the pandemic and the lockdown. People can't go to the factories, they can't work, digital inventory was not available, factories were not connected. And it is fair to assume your investment earlier into technology and let's say the digital technology has actually helped you to transform and scale, in fact, not scale, become more resilient across the world. Is it a fair assumption?
Yes, I give a couple of instances. L&T never did work from home. It was a never had a story for Larsen Toubro. So when the task was given 15th of March, people said that there may be likely lockdown, and it was announced on 21st of March. A task given to me saying that how to make the people start working because we have order book of 2,500 was available on the shop. We need to execute the jobs. There is no plan B for me, so I mobilized all my resources, ensured that within a week's time people are on a job, and we started our operation April 15th. In fact, I have never stopped coming to office. I have not seen not a single day work from home for me. All the days I was at office. Ensured that people are adapted to the work from home culture, able to operate, and all the operations are on from 15th April. Initially 50%, and July onwards, people started working 100%. And we are able to do most of our jobs on time, record time using digital aids. Whatever we implemented, the benefits are evident, and we are able to deliver all the jobs, some of the jobs even ahead of the schedule. That I can say that we arrange virtual tours, we arrange remote inspection by the all the jobs, and we get a lot of support from our customer as well as our third party inspectors. They have used our digital tools to visit our plant premises, job progress as well as the inspection they carried remotely. All this has really helped us to ensure that our jobs are delivered on time and some of the jobs ahead of time. So this is an achievement by itself. And you believe me, not a single day is off for the L&T. We were working throughout the thing, and we have a large order book waiting to start. It is that way we are loaded last two and a half years.
Absolutely
Wonderful.
perfect. Yeah, Mr. Babu, you also see the media company. There was not even a single day when the newspaper was not published, right?
Correct.
So we both were working. But Murli, I am coming to you, man. While we both were working during, I think
Well,
I have an experience of my organization. Mr. Babu has in his organization. But you're part of many organizations. You're delivering solutions to many organizations.
correct.
We three words. One is digitization, right? You saw some of the technology Mr. Babu used it, right? Second word is digital transformation. I think it is the most abused word probably globally now, right?
Absolutely.
And the third word, which is really when the rubber hits the road, is business transformation. Okay, I think fair to say the journey in last 18 months or 2 years is from digitization to business transformation. And this usually never happens. Globally, also, this is like 4x, 5x speed at
Yes.
which any organization would have transformed. I think this ecosystem has to come together. Partners, suppliers, stakeholders, all of this. What are the new trends which are shaping this space today? First question. And how do we see people like you as Infor coming up and helping companies to drive this journey forward?
Thank you so much, Shalil. And congratulations, Mr. Babu, for really telling that story, right? See, large companies like yours, right? And we all, within India at least, we look up to companies like L&T, right? Especially in this particular area, right? My question maybe to add to you also is, while you have done that transformation, right? Large companies like you, 3 years ago, you guys did that business transformation, digital transformation, right? Having a digital twin, right? But your suppliers, your contractors, right? The tier two, right? Because the country is literally run by the SMB organizations. Right?
Absolutely.
They are the ones who provide, right? Supply, right? Take subcontracts, and also are a very very key engine, right, of this entire ecosystem. How's that really? Just Salil, if I'm okay, right? Just a question again to Mr. Babu,
Sure,
if that has impacted
sure.
his
Yeah,
Go
organization.
ahead. Yeah,
I can take this. I can take this. Most of our vendors are in India, and also some of them are outside India. Okay, for example, we have so many mills in Europe as well as US where we get a lot of the raw material, plates, pipes, and the critical forgings. So we made orders well in advance, and there are many logistic issues. However, we got some special permissions through the government agencies and able to ship most of the material. And there were challenges, I agree, but we could manage those challenges by the efforts put by logistic team. The second important part is the digital connect to the factory. So they need to see that whatever material they are manufacturing, we have to see how they are doing, whether the stage inspection is completed or not, the documentation is in order or not. So we are able to connect through digital means. Teams is one of the aids we have taken to connect to them and seeing how our material is getting manufactured, the progress of the entire inspection, how it is going on, we have seen virtually. Once the material is received back, when it is the shop again, we same thing we provide to our customers, saying that whatever we are manufacturing on shop, whatever inspection we are carrying, and whether it is in order as per the contract or not. So this digital connect, having the virtual platform like Team and having the high end cameras, Google Glass, where you people are used to show the job very closely, the working part, fabrication part, and also the inspection we carry. So these all help to bring that kind of a trust on our operations, trust on our manufacturing. Also, we're able to equally share the same thing to our business partners elsewhere. So in India, it is somehow we able to reach and we connect to them. But however, we are able to manage the external vendors successfully using digital means. That's what we have done.
Perfect. So the reason I asked that question is, right, so you are one of our largest customers, right, on the ERP journey, right? And you have the way you've adopted the technology, most companies rather look up to, right, eventually to get there. What I'm seeing, Shalil, is a lot of these companies, a lot of these suppliers in the mid market, they looked at companies like L&T, right, L&T, Heavy Engineering, and others, and they realized there is no disruption for these guys, right? In the last 1.5 years, right, most of the mid market companies literally had to shut down for 2 months because they had not prepared, they had not thought through this. Right? And that is what has happened in the past 10-12 months, right? Technology vendors like us, the uptake in mid market, right? Your suppliers, right? Your contractors, right? They are the ones who are adapting technology now and adapting technology to the hilt. Right? What has also happened is the next generation, right, of these entrepreneurs, right, who started off these companies as being your suppliers, their sons, right, their daughters are now back from, right, their education, and they are now taking up this entire journey of digitization. They do not want to really want to see the company being run the way their father has run, right? And in fact, what I'm also seeing in India is a lot of these parents, right, the founders of these companies are giving that entire digital journey and that business transformation activities, right, really to these sons and daughters, right?
True.
So what I'm seeing is really these sons and son-in-laws and the family. Most of India is built by family-run businesses, you know.
Yes.
And they're all sitting. The conversation that we're having is, hey, stages, right? In the year one, this is what we want, and there is no PwC, there is no AY, right? There are no big five consultants, right? These guys have a clear thought in their mind on, hey, in year one, this is what we want to achieve, right? Which is an ERP transformation. Year two, right? We want to really connect to the ecosystem, collaborate. Year three, we want to have IoT, right? We want to have an entirely connected ecosystem, right? The clarity that I'm seeing today in the market, right? Not just in mid market, even in enterprise companies, right? Some of these companies which have gone IPO, they're now realizing, hey, right, we need to change. Engineering companies, construction companies, right? All of them, right? It is very, very uh, exciting time really for a vendor, right, or for us, right, or for everyone else for that matter, right, to just be part of this transformation, and it's happening quick, right? If we do not move to this very quickly, right, we will miss out, right? So
True. Murli, you raised a very nice point, and on a lighter mode, people say that this is generation 1 to generation 2, but if you go and see, it's actually generation 3 which is coming in.
probably
Okay. It seems that I mean, it is also saying that we are growing old now.
Yeah.
We're not realizing it, but it is generation 3 which is passed out of Cambridge and Oxford and Harvard Business Schools, and they are coming back and establishing the blueprint of transformation.
Absolutely.
And the journey is actually very intricate, because one side you are looking at a divide, which is a digital divide. When you're looking at global players, global sourcing, resiliency, supply chain, they're all digitally integrated.
Yeah.
On the other hand, they have their 20 years of investment done on factories, right? They have done command centers, they have done their embedded technology. How do they bring all that together? And it's a multiplier effect. I say IT multiplied by OT is actually IoT. Let's
Yeah.
say this way, okay? But players such as yourself bring that together. Players such as yourself actually is stitching the story or integrating the digital world with the traditional world seamlessly. So the organizations such as Mr. Babu working for, which is L&T Heavy Engineering, can actually make and leverage better and better.
Absolutely.
I think that's. But there is the last part of our discussion. Then we go to the panel discussion. Is discrete also is have a challenge going forward, right? I said design-led manufacturing, if you remember.
Yeah.
I said there is market of one which is appearing. Demand side is a pressure which is there for us. We need to customize to our customers, whether B2B or a B2C environment. We are catering to OEM largely, then we are catering to also the aftermarket as well. Now, in this forum, and question to both of you actually, how do we deal with this challenge of creating an elastic manufacturing? Because manufacturing itself is hardwired, right? Whether the shop floor, shop floor to top floor and a bottom floor, I anywhere look at it's hardwired. I still need to create those agility, nimbleness around my and technology has to play an important role. So, Mr. Babu, I'll briefly. We are short of time as well, but very briefly
Yeah.
over to you, and
Okay.
then
I'll quickly. So we started our digital factory journey recent past. In fact, we ensured we had done a lot of things last years, which is not enough for us to take to the next 5 years. We can say Laksha 26 journey. We have a targets are available to grow to reach that goal, to reach consistent performance for all next 5 years. We are actually revisiting what we have done for last 5 years, and also we are checking whether IT digital strategy in alignment with the business growth plan. And we try to see what are the gaps, what are the opportunities we have to improve, and also bring the resilience and elasticity within our processes, and also opportunity to implement digitalization in pre-manufacturing, manufacturing, office area, and services. These are the areas we targeted. We are looking closely, saying that what are opportunities available, and we are taking help of all the big partners. We are talking to PwC, E&Y, Siemens, DISO, all the parties we are talking, and asking them to come visit, talk to us, and give us a proposal. What can you do the blueprinting of what all opportunities you can foresee with your experience, and can we implement some of the good points over a period of next 3 to 4 quarters, so that we are able to meet the growth plan, what is a vision of our organization. That's what I think we are doing from L&T
sure,
Heavy Engineering.
sure. So Murli, as you saw, he's basically talking about manufacturing execution system, PLM
Yeah.
system, new product introduction processes, and ERPs of the world, and so right. I mean, as complex as we can think, right? And it is your responsibility to simplify. The hardest question to you.
Absolutely. And then see, that's where I think Infor as a company, right, chose this path of not really having a single ERP for every industry. Within discrete, we have right 5 flavors of ERP.
Hmm.
Right. So it's a journey that we embarked a few years ago, and then now we are offering this on SaaS. Right. And this is again something which came in from the market. Right. They all realized, hey, a soap manufacturer, a, and a car manufacturer or a heavy engineering manufacturing company, how are we all using the same code base and so on, so same system? That is now triggering this change, and especially within cloud, you cannot do too much of customization, right? So hence, different flavors, right, of ERP technologies, right, which is custom made for a particular sub vertical, right, is now made available to the market, and I'm seeing a lot of interest, right? While companies still don't know about it, but it's something that people are getting excited and willing to look at it much more closely.
Thank you, Murli. I think you answered it very briefly, but very point. Because until you do a standard operating model by vertical, then I think you're not nuancing to the basic problems of the structure of the industry.
Correct.
And micro verticalization is the way forward.
Absolutely.
Completely agree with you.
Absolutely.
I've seen time and again, as soon as organizations start looking at templatization, then customization, I think they are better off. But then template has to be 90% there, because
90,
until the template,
95%, yeah. Otherwise,
yeah,
you go through a 3-year implementation
yeah,
cycle.
right. And
No one benefits.
by that time the CEO is talking to Mr. Babu, if this is CEO. So Guys, time is always short, I'll tell you, but uh, frankly speaking, we touched base on many things. One is the journey part of it initially. How such as organization heavy engineering today is kind of using the investments not only to really become resilient over the period of time, but now going forward, giving exponential productivity, efficiency, and catering to the customer. Second, we heard Murli your type, when you talked about how generations are coming and actually building the blueprint for the next generation of the company. Fair to say, a lot of people said that automation will replace skills and jobs and etc. I am not seeing that. I
No,
think what we are seeing is these automations and technology is augmenting people, and this augmentation will create India a global hub or a global factory,
absolutely, without a doubt.
right? Without a doubt. I think I'm ending with this nice note where India is looking forward to be the global hub and a global factory. But thank you very much for the time.
Thank
It's
you
been a
so much,
pleasure
Ravi.
Thank
and an
you.
honor to be with you guys today.
Thank you,
Thank,
Mr. Babu.
thank you, Murli, and
Thank you, Sunil. Ciao.
bye-bye.
Thank you, Mulu. Thanks, Mr. Babu. Thank you for the time. We should continue our journey, guys. Like I promised you, we heard from two business leaders. I think we have invited few more business leaders from various industries from a discrete manufacturing perspective. And I think the one of the topics which I want to really discuss is shop floor to the top floor. If you go back to 2018, 19, 17, I think technology were largely used to connect the products. And if I can connect with the product, I can drive an app, give it to my customers, and they can use it. But today, during the pandemic, and the learning and changes and the investment which I am seeing has been into shop floor, a large. How do I get connected factories? How do I connect it ecosystem well integrated across the board? And not only meeting the expectations of the business, I think we are now driving it back to really exceeding the business expectations. Today, technology is sitting on a hot seat, and I must say, most of the people would agree on the panel today. Let me ask that, but they are in the boardroom. Without that, the discussion is incomplete. I think shop floor to the top floor. Uh, I'd like to invite my panelists today. I'll start with Mr. Vinod Bapna, the COO and now CEO. I came to the from Capro Maruti Limited. Mr. Vinod, if you can switch on your video as well. I'd like to invite Mr. Yogesh Tatke, APAC IT leader, Adient. I'm sure most of the people, when you're sitting in the car, is sitting on Adient actually, if I'm not wrong. Sanjay Garade, Group CIO, ISEC, Heavy Engineering Limited. Can we have you on the camera, please? Sudhir Kanvende, CIO of the Supreme Industries. Hi, Sudhir. Pleasure to have you and capture you today. We missed
Namaste.
you in the last
Yeah.
discussion. We have Sanjeev Kumar Jain, Group CIO, Krishna Group, Krishna Maruti Group, actually. Hi, Sanjeev. And I like to invite, just for the sake of changing the little bit of a name pronunciation, Mr. George, I would like to call, Director Solutions Consulting Infor. Hey, hi, George. I've taken your advice, right? Not calling you. Thank you very much for joining. I like Sudhir's background as well. It looks like he's inside the factory, right?
But आओगे immediately मेरे पास? Yes, very much. That's why there's a lot of background sound also might be there after some time.
Yeah. And Yogesh background is like, we are all going to travel to spatial, celestial journey there.
That's a futuristic seat, guys. So
Yeah, yeah.
I just
Even-
love those images, to keep it in the background.
So, Mr. Yogesh, I think, it is fair to say the biggest disruption actually happened to the auto sector. Let me tell you as well. But I would also say when the lockdown opened up, I think auto is a sector which actually picked up faster as well. So auto has seen a weaker couple of times. I would call it this way in the last 2 years. The auto sector saw one of the worst downfall as sales plummeted during the pandemic. Right, there must have been a ripple effect on the business too, with greater threat of third wave. There is a lot happening today. Now, my question to you is, when you see yourself today, you're building thread of last 2 years, then 20 years, and then next 10 years. Okay.
Correct.
That said, how do we keep the continuum going? My question is on the continuum side.
Sure.
Is the investment needs to be relooked at, blueprinting has to be relooked at. How are you going to look at the whole spectrum of manufacturing, discrete manufacturing?
First thing first, thank you so much for arranging. Thank you so much for inviting. It's an honor to be alongside with Sudhir and other panelists. And and I know Sanjeev Sahab, I have been with him in the panel many occasions because we belong to the almost similar industry. So whichever questions that you are asking me will be most likely applicable for Sanjeev Sahab also. But given that context, yes, last 20 years of the experience in auto IT industry and last 2 years experience in auto IT industry has been absolutely different. Um, IT has been always looked at as a service department earlier. Now, last 4 5 years, it was an enabler. However, last 2 years, it was a facilitator. So, and more from the business context perspective, if we talk about manufacturing, connecting world, connecting shop floor to the bottom floor or bottom line, and as well as exploring other avenues of revenue streams. For example, if we talk about engineering design services, engineering collaboration services, these are the avenues which um, got explored more compared to manufacturing in last 2 years. And those at least help organizations to survive in these windstorms. And I'm confident that windstorm is not over yet. We are just in the midst of it. We are preparing ourselves for that, and going forward, we will survive with the situation. Organizations need to be, very flexible at their budgeting platform, not from their allocations perspective, but adaptation perspective. So, if, for example, we used to raise a car that is capex acquisition request, it used to take probably months to get approval from right from filling up the form to getting the funds allocated and etc. However, now it is in 48 hours. You execute the project or start the project and shows the result. That's the viewpoint from board also.
Sure. So, Yogesh, if I may take this liberty of restating it, what you're saying. One is your investment into engineering and the changes in the business model kind of helped you become more resilient. And the ask is more advantageous if we talk about automation or a low code, no code scenario, where we are making it the forum gain a lot of productivity, and I would call it exponential productivity. We have seen factories working at 40% labor to with labor 40% labor and 80-90% of capacity, and even 100% of capacity. I think that is also changed largely. So one is how technology is giving exponential gains around productivity and efficiency on that side. Mr. George, I'm coming to you, right? Because it's very interesting, right? Low code, no code, very high frequency of putting application modernization or building, let me say, a peripheral, sort of an app world which builds the ecosystem and integrates supply chain partners, etc. together. You're from a consulting world, Mr. George, and a very vast experience at your end. The changing environment needs to be integrated in the current environment as well. And when the rubber hits the road, I haven't ever seen that it works seamlessly, right? So, what are the 2 or 3 principles you see is important for understanding?
Thank you, Sharil, for that question. Good afternoon to all the panel members. The point is, I must make one fact very, very clear that I'm talking of Indian manufacturing, especially Indian discrete manufacturing, has really adopted. They were the earlier adopters of ERP 20 years ago. I've been in this business for some time to know that, and I know the kind of responses when we approach potential companies who are looking at enterprise solutions. they came up with points like, this doesn't work for India. But so we have come a long way. We need to appreciate and know that we've been able to evolve and adapt quickly to take the best, that the IT has to offer. That's one. Second is there are two situations you will look at. There is a whole bunch of customers who are coming to us saying, hey, we have outgrown our pants. So there is this whole set of guys who could be mid-sized or large companies who are taking a strategic shift in direction, or it could be small companies rapidly growing. They come and tell us, hey, we have outgrown, we've heard that you're good in manufacturing, tell us something and look at our business and let us know how it is done. So there is a complete refresh or a rechange in the solution. That is where we offer our cloud solution, because putting a cloud-based or a SaaS-based solution is basically scaling up your services. The points that you will find very easy to switch on as services. And we always say that once you're on the true cloud, that's your last upgrade. With IT guys on the call, that's your last upgrade. That's one part of it. The other one is folks who are using a very large enterprise, very successfully using an on-prem kind of opportunity that we see. We are seeing a trend in which their peripheral systems are going on the cloud, which I see it as testing the waters, as they say. So while we speak, let me tell you, those days of peripheral systems are gone. We are actually having 800 crore, 1,000 crore and above companies now implementing ERP end-to-end, from sales to production planning to inventory to finance on the cloud. So that's one angle of it. Mine may be a little wordy response, but I think I would request patience there. Second thing is at the bottom piece of it. Once we got the ERP, we got the financials and everything done. Then we are seeing that a lot of people are investing into OT systems, operational technology systems like sensors and data capture collection systems, which they are then trying to make sense on quality, efficiency, all of that part of the machine. So that's where you see from ERP, we are seeing people go down to get sensors and so efficiency, and people are going up to actually start using artificial intelligence and machine language. They may be very, very small use cases, but it's undeniable that's the way to go. So I think I've answered your question in a long and winding way, but it's very important to understand the whole landscape.
Mr. George, I think you proved it with the point when we said it is not only shop floor to top floor, it is shop floor to bottom floor as well.
Correct.
And bottom is the sensors we are looking at it, the embedded technology, the command centers we are looking at. The top is we are looking at leveraging this into decision making, and it is more prescriptive in nature and more predictive in nature. I would like to come back to Vinod, but before we coming to Vinod, we have Sanjay with us. Sanjay, thank you very much for joining. Your industry is very different. Your industry is a project-based industry. It's a heavy engineering if you look at it.
Yep.
And I'm sure IT and OT should not be treated differently in your own life. It has to integrate. Tell me something about the 18 months and just moving forward. How do you see technology playing a very important role in discrete manufacturing? What are the trends at your perspective?
See, 18 months, good afternoon to everyone. The 18 months, if I look at, probably I need to speak my experience in two organizations. One was the purely discrete manufacturing, and other one is definitely today I am in the heavy engineering equipment manufacturer. So on the discrete manufacturing side, we have realized very fast that until unless we start going on the digital way, probably we will not be the competitive in the market, and probably the profit or EBITDA, I would say, that will be the stagnant. So we immediately taken a decision to go with the IT/OT amalgamation into the organization, where we have successfully run that for some months before I left this thing. And as per my the information goes that the programs are running very well, where we said that we will be actually trying to achieve the 200 crores EBITDA year on year, and that was a fantastic the numbers which we were talking on with the management when we got this internal selling done, when we put up this number, they were also surprised that yes, this is possible. Same thing I'm trying to definitely the replicate in this organization, my new organization is in SJEC. But SJEC as the typical manufacturing organization, the pandemic has definitely given the opportunity for our the team to really exploit this situation and put the IT. I would say the IT is the benchmark, and people have the proven that the IT can really do wonders. And while we were more dependent on the lots of the import equipment, we have actually innovated and match up the quality of those equipment, so less the dependent on the now import the goods at this point of time. And
Sure.
the journey which we want to run it, that yes, we've actually given the very clear cut message that until unless IT and OT will go together, the probably our bottom lines gets the reducing year on year. So therefore, if we need to really improve upon on that, so we need to improve upon the serviceability, the predictive maintenance, and the improvement on the production side.
If I may say, in a very brief, you bring IT and OT together to create a transformation journey of an organization.
Right.
Okay, and this journey really means that you're operating in an exponential environment as a revolution to the industry rather than only for an organization. Because once you start a new benchmark in the industry, rest are there to follow. And I think that's where leaders such as yourself has been trying a lot and bringing technology. And when I say technology, it's bringing the IT and OT together. I want to go to Vinod. Hi, Vinod. I know you were facing some technical issue to join. But first of all, I must also say that right now you're a finance domain guy, then you're a technology and now a CEO domain guy, an ops guy. I think you've done a different roles in the organization to land up to a CEO role and an executive member of the organization. From your office, how do you see industry moving forward as a discrete one? What are the 3-4 things which you see as big trends emerging, and how do you see technology playing an important role?
Basically, I'm in this automotive industry for last 30 years, and I can say, the last 2.5 years after this pandemic, I can see a lot of big changes take place in the industry, not on the manufacturing side, even all in every area, maybe the finance, maybe the HR, IR, and maybe the manufacturing, whatever you can say. So whatever the learning we have done in last 27 and 28 years, that is equal to this 2 year, I can say the learning which we have done in last 2.5 years after this pandemic. A lot of sea change I can see at the shop floor level, at the management level. Now, as far as the discrete manufacturing and the use of technology in the manufacturing, I would like to answer your question in two parts. Part one, basically, I would like to relate with my industry because we are into the sheet metal. So what happened, generally sheet metal industry is considered as a very conservative industry. There is a very less technology upgradation in the industry. Reason being only the tools is there, where the stamping is there, and thereafter the welding is there. But now what happened in last couple of years, the welding part has been now from manual welding to has been transferred to the robotic welding. That is an ongoing process. But what happened in last 2 years, the skilled manpower, which is basically the lifeline of our industry. What happened due to this pandemic? The skilled manpower basically moved to their native place, and thereafter they are not turned up again. So we faced a lot of issue from the quality point of view. So now then we thought how to overcome from these quality issues. Thereafter, then we moved to the IoT, artificial intelligence, low-cost automation. And from that particularly, now we have reduced the human errors. So now we have applied all this technology so that we can catch the defects and the gaps in the manufacturing system and in our quality in our quality issues. So from that is basically we have used the technology, and I think that will be going more and more technology advancement in particular our industry. Now this is a micro level my industry perception. Now when we go for macro level, so now you can see basically we are into the sheet metal for the passenger vehicle. Now, passenger vehicle, a car is not just a car right now. Earlier, four tire, one car body is there, and one AC should be there. That's all. This is a car. But now, new generation need different. They need a full infotainment, a full software related issue, a Bluetooth, maps, Google Maps, each and everything. When we talk about the driverless car, then you understand the technology upgradation in this industry. So this is how basically, if you see when the Creta, when the MG, when the Kia comes in the market, now you see the sea changes in the technology, IT uses, and everything I can say in the passenger vehicle. And the same thing is going to implement in the commercial vehicle also,
Yeah.
in the off-road vehicles also, in the EV also, and the two-wheeler also. So I can see for next 5 or 6 years or 10 years down the line, there will be a big sea change in the automotive industry. And it will be, I can say, a part of IT industry, I can say, in years to come. So that is how the manufacturing is going to change. The requirement of customer is going to change. The new generation, the buyer needs something different because for example, sensors. Just like giving sensors in the Western countries, a car having 100 sensors. In India right now, we are using 20 or 25 sensors. So you see the gap. So everything will be controlled by the sensors, by the softwares, by the IT applications. So a sea change going to in the automotive industry, I can say in the manufacturing as well as the requirement of the consumers at large. This
Got
is
it.
my perception.
Thank you. No, I think you very well continued the discussion from Sanjay, because Sanjay said it's a journey, it's a transformation, and it's a business transformation. And you put up, let's say 5-star to the discussion, because what you talked about is kind of low cost automation, and defect management and control of quality is one of the big factors of many organizations today moving towards the technology side, right? Before I go to Mr. George once again with you, I want to hear Sudhir and Sanjeev yourself, right? Sudhir, you are short of saying any good words, you're living in a bipolar environment. Okay, one is the environment which is 20 years, 30 years heavily invested, and the other environment is industry 4.0. Okay, and it seems that one leg is on this one and on the other leg is on this one, and you're running with a very high speed. Okay, if you don't have brakes with you, then you may land up at the Goa beach. That's what I call it. Okay.
That's my native place, so I like that.
Nice. See, I somehow intuitively knew that. So, but Sudhir, managing the two speed of the organization to reach to a convergence of industry 4.0 is very, very important. And Sanjeev, you're all working for OEMs, I may say. You're also working for aftermarkets. You're also looking at people who don't know technology, being made aware of technology and move forward. I fathom, how do you deal with this? How do we deal these two environments? How do you deal with the stakeholders? How do you bring this all together and actually converge to which is called Industry 4.0? Sudhir, yourself, and then Sanjeev.
See, traditional manufacturing has served us well, and process efficiencies were achieved. Practices like just in time or backward integration changed the manufacturing sector over a period. There was a mechanization and automation in the industry, in the manufacturing, in almost all industries, but also in manufacturing industry. But this is not enough to meet the modern day demands. See, for example, digitization, AI, ML is the future of manufacturing. The rapid changes in the marketplace, changes in demand pattern, the disruption, how you can save logistics cost, all require quick responses. Without quick
Yes.
response, very difficult. So also making the most of new opportunities is possible with digitization or AI ML. They are the part of digitization. Then at the same time, future scalability and innovation is also dependent on digitization. Back to you.
Yep. Absolutely, Sudhir. So if I have to say, it can't be a situation that you're running very fast on Industry 4.2, right? You may have 8 factories, and out of 8, 3 are traditionally done, and 5 are digitally done. You have to walk the path of all together. There is no green field. There is always a brown field. You have to keep on doing it and create a spectrum or a highway for an organization on which they can walk. So not necessarily everything is going to be digitized today, but at least the highway is available so that you can hook up as and when we are moving forward. Sanjeev, do you want to add something to it?
Yeah. So what I would like to say, first of all, thank you everyone and good afternoon. I would say this pandemic has really turned as a boon to IT industry. If I talk about the discrete manufacturing organization per se, if we talk about, as Yogesh was talking about, the IT was always being treated as a support department in this discrete manufacturing organization. But I think so. The moment this pandemic has really hit us, we could sense out that okay, the pandemic might continue for a long, or there might be restrictions sort of thing in getting into the people onto the plant. I think so. We took this period as an opportunity for us to really bring in the IT and OT together. And we were having so many robots in our manufacturing that we were having the automated plants which were there. But somehow they were all running in silos, having a lot of data being there with them. And we started talking to the manufacturing guys because they were sitting idle during this period of 2 months lockdown. We tried to do a lot of brainstorming with these guys, brought them to a level that okay, what benefits IT can bring them, bringing the things by connecting the OT platform with the IT platform and visualizing the things as much as possible. And during this period, we conducted a lot of POCs with the manufacturing persons. And I would say that we were able to connect around about 60 robots of welding machines, pick and place robots, and my automated plants during the particular period. And the day the pandemic was over and the restriction was there that with the 50% population only the people can come onto the shop floor, we were able to cater to the needs of our OEMs without any disruption because with the restriction of 50% people, since a lot of things were automated, we have done a lot of vision control systems for our quality systems. We have connected our energy meters with PLCs into the system. We were collecting all the data. Production punching was made automated, which was being manually done previously. So all those activities really helped the organization to run the plants with the 50% manpower on the shop floor. And the people sitting at home were able to see how my plants are running. How is my plant versus actual happening? How is my rejections? How is my quality happening? How is my plant versus the actual production going to the customer? There was a frequent change into the customer models mix because OEM was not very clear which particular model is going to be picked tomorrow. They do give you a monthly schedule of the plants to be picked up, but this pandemic has really changed the whole scenario that the plans were given only 24 hours before that, okay, tomorrow we are going to produce this particular thing and we need things to be done. And in our case, if we don't provide a seat to a OEM, his whole plant is stuck up. The line has stuck up. So we have only 60 minutes to deliver a seat from the time the car gets into the paint shop, and from there, the moment it is out, our seat has to be there onto the shop floor of the OEM to really cater that particular part. So we really did a lot of automation into this particular period and use that part. In the same time, the aftermarket business has really flourished for all the guys in automobile industry because refurbished cars were selling like a hot cake, and the spare market boomed up, and there was a huge demand in the spares to be done. So this particular things, I think, so people were asking for more discounts to be put over there, some schemes to be introduced so that you are able to push your products much as quickly and as early possible to the shop guys, so that you take that benefit. So I think so. All these things were done with only digitalization and digitization part of it when we talk about in IT, and people were able to understand the power of IT in these organizations also. So this is
Absolutely, absolutely, Sanjeev. I think, George, I have promised to the audience that all difficult question is towards you. Okay. I said easy question toward me. So where do I stay? I stay in Gurgaon. That's an easy question. Okay. But, you saw different answers, right? We talked to the all panelists today, and most of them have reflected one word, which is transformation is there for us at the face of it. We have dealt with that very nicely in last 18, 20 months, but there is a lot to be done. I think the resiliency word itself has changed. Resiliency of revenue, resiliency of workforce, resiliency of systems, resiliency of supply chain. And if I look at systems, MES, PLM, all of this is converging to one point that somehow we need to manifest Industry 4.0. Okay. That's why I said it's the most difficult question. If I have to manifest Industry 4.0 today, you know, from your office while you're consulting various organizations, tell us 4 or 5 principles we should look for. Tell us your experience, how you have done.
Yeah, that is fairly a complicated or a long-winded answer justified for that question.
Yeah.
But let me take it one piece at a time, right? So one of our customers in the Europe actually have a dashboard. So the executive officer there can actually click on a dashboard with the plants on a geography map. And I'm not talking PPT stuff, I'm taking actual production stuff. So he clicks, he goes to the plant, all the lines are there. They click further and they can actually zoom down to basically looking at every line. What is the production? What is the quality rejections? All of that can be done. So that's the whole outcome at the top floor for what you invest in the shop floor. That is one part. So to your point, I think you need to have extremely good analytic tools that are available, and these need to be largely seamless, so that you're able to scale it and see it. So that you don't see in IT, one of the things that we all forget is, especially in manufacturing, also with things moving, efficiencies and data moving very fast, data has to be fresh. You need to act on fresh data. I cannot do anything with data that is 48 or 72 hours old. So that is one part of it. So dashboards at the right place. It could be a financial dashboard, a supply chain dashboard, purchase dashboard, profit. As we know, this the CEO, CEO dashboard. They have their own aspects that they want analytics for. So that is one aspect of the whole thing. Second aspect is the one that a lot of our Indian companies are quickly adopting, which is the IoT piece of it. Getting all of that done, fixing it, ensuring that you sustainably get the data going up, and making more sense with a lot of production data that is there in ERP. The third aspect, I just want to sum it up quickly. The third aspect, which is very important, is while you do all this, how do you, into the future, one thing you have to all care for is ransomware. Ransomware is a real threat. Ransomware can get in through integrations that are across systems. So you need robust integration systems. And that is where we see a lot of push to the cloud. If you are, just to give an example, to extend that point with an example, our ERP or our complete discrete manufacturing suite of products are available on AWS. And so far, I just keep my fingers crossed when I say that, so far, AWS customers have not hit ransomware, though they did have some funny slowdown or stoppage last week in US. They've not had any recorded ransomware because you have multiple layers of security. So these are 3-4 things that people are looking for: dashboarding so that data remains fresh, tightening up the whole story of MES on the shop floor. And the third thing is being on a cloud kind of scalable system where you really don't refresh your hardware every 3 or 5 years.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. George. We are just getting heated up right now. We got warmed up, but time is short, obviously, and I can't ask more time from you guys. I think in short, I'm going to leave few messages just to summarize and in conclusion. One of the areas where we have seen less of investment happening, and really a technology can prove really a benefit and a boon to organization, is R&D and alliances. I think we haven't seen in Indian discrete manufacturing perspective, people haven't figured out. They have been doing R&D, but they haven't figured out how technology is going to accelerate that process for them. Pace of innovation is very important. So look at R&D as a space. I think design-led thinking, design-led manufacturing is becoming the ask of tomorrow. If you don't invest today, you will be left behind by the disruptors coming in. One of the words which I'm going to leave in your mind share is design. And how this design has to be backward, design has to be forward as well, and this has to be operationalized, just not piloting and POCs, etc. I think design has to create. Third, I'm going to lead is digital production technologies. Instead of I call it IT and OT, why don't we create an architecture which really talks about only one thing? Hey guys, my partner should help me with digital production technologies. And this includes all the spectrum of Industry 4.0. Now, when you are looking at all of this, you have to look at cloud-based platform. You will not be able to achieve the the highway which you want to create for your organization if it is not cloud-based platform. So I think you should look. When I say platform, you are literally making technology invisible for your stakeholders, for your customers, for your partners, for your suppliers. The litmus test, you should pat yourself if any process there is no technology which is visible. People just visible. What is visible is process. If the process is visible, you're doing a great job. But if technology is visible, then don't pat yourself. There is a lot of work to be done. I will leave these messages with you guys. But it's it's such a nice to hear every viewpoint. I think what you talked about is practitioners' experience, which we're talking about, and a decades of experience. I learn fast because I learn from you guys. That's the best thing I can do. But I would also say it's an honor to have you on a digital platform, especially when we invite you from the Mint side and you join us today on a digital. I know how much time you're spending on screen. You're spending a hefty amount of time. And then again, I'm asking you to join on a Zoom. So, having you on board, it's an honor for me. Thank you very much for your time. My promise is we will meet physically some point of time. I hope so. Omicron is not going to stop us. At the same time, be safe, be healthy, and thank you very much for joining today. It's been a pleasure.